Thanks for joining us again on this edition of the program Niger Delta Today. My name is Saviour Robert. It's another day to look at activities and happenings within the Niger Delta region. And today would not be an exception. We'll be looking at the activities of farmer herders in the Niger Delta region, bringing it back home and localizing some of the realities that have become very topical, especially when we talk about incidences that lead to the loss of lives in the Niger Delta region. First, we would examine the growing concerns around the movement and settlement of herders in the Niger Delta, the tensions it's stirring in farming communities. Then we will turn to a more hopeful development, local-led climate action, talking about tree planting and mangrove restoration. We'll spotlight green efforts that could reshape the region's future. But first, let's talk about our story of interest today, which takes us to Rivers State. The administrator of Rivers State, Vice Admiral Ibass, retired, has tasked members of newly reconstituted state boards to uphold discipline, integrity, and commitment to service. Speaking at the inauguration of the reconstituted Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RISIEC, and three other agencies, it stressed the need for competence in stabilizing governance and restoring democratic institutions. The Senate had earlier confirmed Dr. Michael Ode from Cross River as RISIEC chairman, a move that triggered opposition from some senators over his non-indigent status. So the administrator urged the RISIEC to conduct free and fair local government elections while also inaugurating boards for the Civil Service Commission, Local Government Service Commission, and Primary Healthcare Management Board. Ibass promised funding support, but warned that all boards will be held accountable for results. Well, apparently, attention has now shifted to the heart of democratic infrastructure, which is the Electoral Commission. On Monday, this gesture by Ibass inaugurating reconstituted Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission, RISIEC, and three other major state boards, calling for discipline, integrity, and results at face value. These are the right words, but in a politically tense environment, even good governance can be viewed with suspicion. Well, some see the move as an overdue effort to stabilize institutions and prepare for credible local government elections. Others view it as a strategic reshaping of the political machinery in favor of federal interests. Particularly controversial was the appointment of Dr. Michael Ode from Cross River State as RISIEC chairman, raising questions of indigeneity, neutrality, and intent. Well, supporters of the suspended governor, Sim Fubara, are asking if this restructuring about restoring democratic order, is it about restoring democratic order or consolidating federal control under cover of reforms? After all, Ibass has now installed new leadership, not only in the electoral body, but also in the Civil Service Commission, the Local Government Service Commission as well, and even the Primary Health Care Board, 4 levels of state functionality in all one fell swoop. But public opinion remains divided. Some civil society groups applaud Ibass for getting governance moving again after months of stalemate, but others warn of creeping executive overreach, especially with no timeline yet announced for a return to civilian-led administration. In the shadows of that tension, the real test may come not from speeches or ceremonies, but from the new RISIEC conducts, the upcoming local government elections. Are they going to truly be fair, inclusive, and peaceful? And would the polls reflect what the Rivers people truly want to see? But any sign of bias, you would note, could ignite a fresh round of legitimacy battles in a state already under federal watch, especially with Siminalaya Fubara still on the sidelines, hoping to reach that federal decree from President Bola Tinubu to see if he's going to be reinstituted and democratic rule restored in Rivers State. It is left to be seen what is going to be transpiring in Rivers State when we talk about democratic rule, and we'll be following that story closely. But first, let's bring you Niger Delta updates for today. Niger Delta update today. The Akwa Ibom State government has disclosed plans to shut down health centers operating with unqualified staff. The State Commissioner for Health, Dr. Ekem John, made this known at a town hall meeting in Uyo. He stated that Governor Moino has directed strict enforcement to eliminate counterfeit drugs in the state, noting that the government will re-register all private hospitals, labs, and pharmacies under a new guideline to be released soon. But Dr. John also announced plans to launch 2 new oxygen plants in August to boost emergency care. Moving on now to the Yeltsin state, where the conversation is about the government nullifying illegal appointments made by the paramount ruler of Opwama clan, His Royal Highness Chief Kenneth Engo Opukeme, over constitutional violations and abuse of office. The Deputy Governor Lawrence Egbujapo also ordered an end to royalty payments into the monarch's personal account. He further directed the immediate opening of a community account with multiple signatories and instructed oil firms to channel all royalties into it to promote transparency. A separate development as part of efforts to reduce flood risks and improve sanitation in Asaba, the Delta State Capital Territory Development Agency has launched a massive flood control exercise. The exercise involves desilting drains, clearing grasses, and hauling debris to approved dump sites, all aimed at reducing flooding and boosting sanitation. Director General of the agency, Patrick Uka, says the move is key to protecting lives, property, and infrastructure in the state capital. Residents are being urged to shun dumping waste in drains and adopting cleaner environmental habits. The agency's head of environment, Isaac Unwosu, who is leading the exercise, says teams are currently working across major areas with community support. And lastly, a Niger Delta update today. The Edo State Police Command has confirmed the release of the Chief Imam of Uromi, Sheikh Moritada Obakobo. The cleric kidnapped on July 7 in the Angle 80 area was freed unharmed after a combined effort by police operatives and local vigilantes. The command's public relations officer, Moses Yamu, says the rescue followed sustained pressure on the abductors. State Commissioner of Police Monday Abonika praised the team's efforts. Well, that's the size of Niger Delta updates for today. Let's take a breather and then we'll bring you the focus of the day. So stay tuned. We'll delve straight into this issue of growing security concern that continues to grip many communities in fear. Rising violence linked to herdsmen operating within the Niger Delta. Just recently, a tragic incident in Rivers State left another family shattered, a community devastated, and yet again raised urgent questions about safety, governance, and accountability. What began years ago as isolated clashes over grazing land has now evolved into a cycle of violence, killings, and displacement with deadly consequences for rural dwellers, farmers, and even school children. But for many in the affected areas, daily life has become a gamble, with livelihoods threatened, farmlands abandoned, and a palpable fear that no one is truly safe in their own homeland. What exactly is fueling these violent incursions would form our question. Why has intervention been slow or insufficient? And how can affected communities protect themselves while waiting on the long-promised policy reforms? Joining us virtually to address these urgent questions and highlight the broader impact of herders' violence on families and food security, as well as what must be done to restore peace and confidence in rural communities across the Niger Delta, is Comrade Imaebe Saviour. He is a respected activist, human rights advocate, and community voice who has been tracking these issues closely and working with families affected by these deadly encounters. You're welcome on the program, Comrade.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Good afternoon to Nigerians. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Yes, thank you for joining us. Well, since our last conversation, I'm interested also, I'm sure the viewers too would want to know if there have been some level of calm restored in that area. I know you embarked on that protest and received that reassurance from the police structure in Rivers State. How far has that been since the protest that you held?
Like I said earlier in the last conversation, the challenge we have is the government refusal to take adequate responsibility of what is it's called constitutional responsibility. It's a major setback for we, the government of Nigeria, the federal government, states, and both local governments, actually not meeting up the expectations of Nigerians and not also thinking about the well-being and the well-being of the citizens and how to also implement a constitutional approach to issues. Now, there was a protest, and then the essence of the protest was because of the menace of the Fulani herdsmen killing people and also trying to invade communities ordinarily that give them room for accommodation. And this has become a major setback, not just only in the local government, local government, element local government, but in other parts of the state. A jail recently was crying out about the same situation. We also have other communities that are crying out for the same situation. And what is government doing about it? There have been a protest to Government House in Rivers State. There was a protest to the Rivers State Police Command. There was a protest to DSS. Yes, I want to actually applaud the intervention of the DSS. What about the police? What about the government in place? That's the sole administrator in Rivers State. What is its core mandate? And that's a major challenge that we have about the state emergency rules that we're having in Rivers State.
Comrade Imaebe.
Setback as well. Because we in Rivers State, I remember vividly well that the former governor of Rivers State, now the FCT minister, Mr. Yesobe Zowonwike, when he was the governor, there was a law that was signed by the Rivers State House of Assembly prohibiting open grazing in Rivers State. What is holding the implementation of that law? As we speak, there is another constitutional review on different parts of the Constitution to be amended, on different parts of the Constitution to be reviewed. Now the existing aspect of the Constitution have not been implemented. Yet we are thinking about how to bring more constitutional review. So it becomes a major setback. Our Constitution must be respected. Not only that our Constitution must be respected, but government must take adequate responsibility for the protection of lives and property. It is embedded in Nigerian Constitution that it is the core responsibility of the Nigerian government, the president, the governor, and the local government chairman to ensure that Nigerians are happy. If in any way Nigerians are not happy, we stand the right to voting out such level of leadership. It is in Nigerian Constitution.
All
and
right.
It is our right. Apart from every other right that we talk about, the human rights and the other aspect of it, it is also the right of government to make Nigerians happy. But now killing has become a major situation. Insecurity has become a major setback that government in place. The federal government, state government, local government.
Comrade Imaebe, I really need to butt in, and especially with the state government and the current leadership that is in place in Rivers State. I'd like to know, you had mentioned earlier that you took the protest to the Rivers Government House, and hopefully you were supposed to have some reactions from the sole administrator or a representative regarding the issues of the herder-farmer clashes in Rivers State. Are you saying that you have not been appeased in some ways, apart from the statement, of course, by the police? The police had addressed you on that fateful day, saying that you shouldn't take laws into your hands and that it was going to swing into actions and carry out some investigations. Since then, what has it been thus far? Have you received any information from the government side and any reassurances regarding its moves towards ensuring that it addresses the clashes?
Sincerely, I want to say that within that week that the protests that were embarked on that protest, the IBAs, I don't know if it's the IBAs that actually gave the direction, that's the sole administrator in Rivers State. I wouldn't know if it's actually the one that gave the directive, but I'm quite sure and I know, I can remember vividly well the last same week, on the Friday of that week, the protest was supposed to be Tuesday, and then on the Friday of same week, the DSS requested that all security chiefs or all the service chiefs in Rivers State had a meeting in DSS office. The Commissioner of Police was there, the GOC, the DSS, and every other security outfit were there in that meeting. And they were also asked to invite some other persons that are also the impacted people, or those that are actually been affected by the Fulani herdsmen crisis or killing. Now, some people went there. Also wasn't opportune to be in that particular meeting, even though I was informed earlier. Unfortunately for me, I was out of the state when that same day that meeting was called, because there was no earlier notice given for us to prepare to be part of that meeting. But it was an emergency invitation, which I couldn't be able to meet up. But then, my feelers also, those that was in that meeting, when I find out or asked directly what happened in the meeting, we are told that the security meeting or security directive was that the Fulani herdsmen living in Ogoni and their cow for now should depart from Ogoni land, pending when all crisis resolution must have been taken. That was the step or the directive that was given by a security agency that held that meeting and the office of the DSS in Port Harcourt OGRE. But then we also believe that at that point, it is not just to give just a verbal action. We need a practical aspect of it, because one of our challenges is that when security meetings like this has been held, now the aspect of it is the implementation, which is a major setback in not just with Rivers State government, but also with the entire federal government of Nigeria. We have a problem of implementation, practicalizing what we have directed or the actions or the issues we have issued, that we can't be able to actually take decision on those issues and so on. That means that the government of Nigeria do not prioritize the welfare and the security of lives and property of the citizens they claim to govern. So it becomes a major setback. Apart from that particular meeting that has been called or held in the office of the DSS, no other meeting that have been aware that have been called. A follow-up of that action, we have not heard anything again concerning the follow-up of that particular security meeting. Yet, we are still believing that with God, that the people, like we said earlier, this was going to be the first and the last time we are going to lead a protest to demand that Fulani herdsmen to stop killing our people. Because, like I said earlier, the people of Ogoni do not have any boundary with Fulani herdsmen or with any of the Fulani communities. We do not share culture. We do not share culture. We don't have anything in common. Right. We don't have the same culture. We don't have the same traditional
belief. Well, in the spirit of the kind of democracy we run in Nigeria, we're regarded as one, and there's freedom of movement, whether Fulani herdsmen, whether from the south, the north, or the west, we have that freedom to move around. But then, when we refer to the protest you held that day, some of your respondents, the persons who participated in that protest, used some very strong terms to describe the actions they are willing to take next if their grievances or needs are not addressed effectively. Well, the police had already given some directives and asked that you do not take laws into your hands. What did you people mean when you said this was a final warning, that you were going to be taking drastic measures if your demands are not met? What did you mean in that particular context?
Like I said earlier, I have with my previous conversation with you, I remember saying that the government of Nigeria do not prioritize the safety or the protection of lives and property, which is actually enshrined in Nigeria Constitution. We want further to say, like you rightly said, there is a freedom of movement across various parts of the state and the constitutional status. No doubt, we are not disputing that particular aspect of the Constitution. Just like we know, or just like I will bring your mind back, that as we speak right now, those the Ogonis living in Kaduna are not killing anybody. If you must be reminded or you must be told, the Ogonis living in Katsina State are not killing anybody. I remember within the period I paid a visit to Adamawa, paid a visit to Nasarawa, paid a visit to Kaduna, paid a visit to Plateau State, paid a visit to other parts of the state in the northern state. I cannot remember killing anybody. Neither do I remember destroying any lives of property of that place that I paid a visit. Meaning that I traveled peacefully and I came back peacefully. So if the Fulani herdsmen also believe that they can also live in our community peacefully, we don't have a problem with that. But living in our community, having access to our market, having access to our women, having access to our farmland, and then at the same time deciding to kill the people that gave you such level of accommodation or accessibility, then that is what we cannot take.
All right.
We cannot take that one. And yet, we are going to say this before the federal government of Nigeria. We say this before any government in place, that we can no longer tolerate the death of any Ogoni person in the house of a Fulani man.
Comrade Imaebe, let's take you a little bit back to the incidents that led to that protest, which was, of course, the demise of Goodluck, the unfortunate farmer who lost his life in that particular incident. Now, could you bring us up to speed with the plans regarding the burial? How did it go? Because you had mentioned that he was supposed to be laid to rest. How did that go?
Sometime last week, now precisely Saturday last week, Dimpa Goodluck was supposed to be laid to rest on Saturday last week. One of the victims of Fulani herdsmen, just same way, Letambari John of Yokuru in Kala local government has also been buried in the same way. That's last year. We also have a case like this in Sogo. Now, we are supposed to have a funeral of Dimpa Goodluck on Saturday, but I was also informed by the family member that the burial can no longer hold last week Saturday, that the date has been postponed due to some litigations that's on the burial. I also believe that the case is in court. The case between the land dispute of the land that the Fulani herdsmen claimed to have bought from a particular individual in Sogo, and that of the individual with Fulani herdsmen, the case is in the court in Bori, and I was told that because there are several cases in that regard, pending, the whole situation is being pending based on the outcome of the judgment that will be given by the court. So at the same time, the Fulani herdsmen,
Comrade Imaebe, just before you continue, since it is not established that the persons who attacked your communities in Rivers State are Fulani herdsmen, I'd like you to broaden it. Just herdsmen would be enough so that we do not implicate people who we're not sure are actually responsible for the attack. So herdsmen would be fine if in the course of our conversations.
I think the issue that we're talking about Fulani herdsmen or herdsmen like we talked about is not common to the people of Ogun. Neither is it a common issue to Nigerians. It's not a strange matter in this country. Now, but the question is, can this situation be addressed by Mr. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria? Can this particular situation be addressed? An issue that's actually lingered for this long cannot be addressed by the President. Insecurity has been a major setback. Now, we are talking about a responsible young man that was feeding his family, a responsible young man that was a breadwinner in his family, and then went to farm for cultivation, only for him to be killed by cattle raiders on his own farmland. And then his body was received by his parents. Somebody went to the farm alive, came back in dead body. And then we are saying that these issues, these people, we should be dialoguing with people like this. This is the reason why we say that if the security agencies can no longer protect the people, then the people should go into self-protection. And that's the best way at this point in time. Because upon all of this, I want to inform you that upon all this that have happened, none of these persons are undergoing any investigation. And that is the most sad part of it. It is so sad.
Well, Comrade Imaebe, how are you so sure that there are no investigations ongoing? You received that confirmation and assurance from the police that it was going to swing into action. How do you know that no investigations are ongoing currently?
When the police suggested, or when the Commissioner of Police represented by the Deputy Commissioner of Police in charge of operation, and also the Assistant Commissioner of Police in charge of operation, when both of them, when I had a meeting with them, or when they addressed the protest that same day, they remembered, or I remember they said they were going to switch into action. Now, I was thinking that the police would have invited any of these culprits that have been accused for being responsible for the death of Letambari John in Yokuru, or the death of Dimpa Goodluck in Weke, and also the death of other Ogonis that have been killed in this same crisis. We were thinking that the police will invite each of these parties for a roundtable to actually ascertain the level of the accusation and then know who to be arrested, who to arrest. But at this point in time, police is yet to make any arrest. And I bring you back to the statement of the President, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, during his visit to Borno State, when he visited the 200 people that was killed by Fulani herdsmen, or by the herdsmen, like you said. Now, the question that I remember the President asked the security agency that was seated in that particular town hall meeting was, why is it that no arrest has been made? And that question became a very, very challenging question. Why is it that when these herdsmen killed, and they are being accused of being killed, of killing, none of them have been arrested for proper investigation? Why are they not investigated? I have been to several police stations. I have been to several cells to look at for one or two. I have checked several names on the notice board. I remember last week I went to different police stations just to visit each of the names on the cell, that is in cell. And I also can remember that in all of these places I have visited, I cannot remember seeing any Fulani name or any herdsman name on the notice board. meaning that none of these persons are under detention, meaning that none of these persons have been arrested. So what are we saying? Is this actually one Nigeria that we said? Is this the one Nigeria we said that we're practicing? Because if this actually one Nigeria that we said we're practicing, I expect that due investigation, due consultation would have been done by the people that accused the Herdsmen of killing to also be invited, invite the parties involved, and then we can speak face to face. And then if the person is found wanting, then you charge the person to court and jail him. If there's an attempt like this, then other Herdsmen will take win, or will be caught in situation of what is on the outcome of judgment of the police to the court. Or to the one of caution. But because no
Comrade Imaebe, if you can hear me, I'd like to butt in a little bit, just so we get the right information out and we follow the proper procedures towards seeking redress. Now, you had spoken about, no arrest whatsoever being meted out. Have you visited the police and requested for a list of arrests that have been made and you were not furnished with any?
Now, like I said earlier, when this whole thing took place, we actually wrote a letter. There was a complaint that was made to the DP of the police station. There was a complaint that was made to the police headquarters. What the police did was that the police directed the OCSIB to invite me. Now, when the OCSIB invited me, I paid a visit to the office of the OCSIB, which I was taken to the hall of the Commissioner of Police. Now, when we got to that place, I went there alongside with my supporters and also some of the people that are actually aggrieved on the situation we are embarking on, that is going on. Now, when we got there, the OCSIB was telling me and before my supporters that, that the reason why they have not made any arrests is because they are yet to even make a call to one of the Fulani Herdsmen chairman or one of their chairman, make a call, and the number was not connected. What the OCSIB told me was that his number is not connected, and that he has made attempts to call him, and that his number is not being able to reach him, and that this is not able to reach him, that what he is going to do, that if I didn't pay, he was able to reach him, it would have been an opportunity for him and us, and the three of us to sit down and discuss. That it would have been an opportunity for us to meet with our killers. You can imagine the statement from the OCSIB, a Rivers State Police Command, Moscow, Port Harcourt. Now, this was the statement for the OCSIB. Now, as we speak, I also remember asking him, if you are just trying reluctantly to make a call, you are reluctantly trying to make a call because we came in our capacity. Now, you did not make any attempt. Even when these issues was on the news, even when these issues was reported, no policeman has made any proper attempt to ensure that this particular situation is being addressed and addressed drastically. It has never been addressed in a way or in a manner that Nigerians will say that for the first time, herdsmen killing must come to at least a stop. This herdsmen killing has not been able to be attended to by the Nigerian government, by the state government, and by the local government. So it becomes a major setback. So with this, I can confirm to you that as we speak, up to this moment, no arrest has been made in terms of investigation. Even when the DSS, even when all the security agencies residing in Port Harcourt or in Rivers State start for a meeting to take a decision, what they are interested. I can remember that one of the directives that the security agencies we are very interested in was that they should arrest the person that sold the land or that was claiming that to have sold the land to Fulani Herdsmen. They were very, very serious about that, based on those that called me because I couldn't attend a meeting since it was just an impromptu or emergency meeting. Now, I was told that they requested to arrest the person that sold us the land to the Fulani Herdsmen. But they did not request the arrest of those that killed. They did not request that the person that killed, that he should be arrested immediately. There was no prompt direction to that effect. But there was a directive that the person that has been accused of selling that land to the Fulani Herdsmen in Sogo, that's in Ghana, local government of Rivers State, that the person should immediately be arrested. That was the directive.
Comrade Imaebe, as we begin to wind down the conversation now, I would like to seek your recommendation regarding all of the issues that you have raised. I know that the conversation around ranching was talked about and brought up formally in 2019, where that communication was put out as regards whether they should be effective ranching in the different states of the Federation to curtail some of these farmer-herder clashes. But then what, in your opinion, are the reasons that this implementation has been patchy? And what are those recommendations that you're going to put out there for government to adopt towards ensuring that the crises are nipped in the bud once and for all?
I think at this point in time, considering the too much or the menace of the killing of Fulani herdsmen or the herdsmen killing across the 36 states of the country, I think the government of Rivers State and the government of Nigeria, like I said earlier in my previous conversation, I also want to maintain same position that the government of Nigeria, government across board, should come back and revisit the open grazing law that is actually in the constitution. Because the open grazing law do not give room. I cannot remember any part of the constitution that said that during open grazing that the herdsmen should kill any community that they accommodate, that they have been accommodated. So I don't think there's any space like that. So the federal government or the government in place should revisit the open grazing law and then put actually some clause on the constitution or on those aspects of it that talked about killing, and then call for prosecution, an immediate prosecution of not just the one taking care of the cow, but the owner of the cows. Because we are also meant to understand that one of the challenges that we have that have hindered the process of the implementation of this particular law is because, one, those persons that actually own this cow are influential personalities in the country. So it becomes a major setback for them to actually apprehend all those that have been accused as the perpetrators of this crime. So it becomes a major setback. So I think it should also be said that open grazing should not be also seen again. Let there be ranch or ranching. Let's go into ranching where any person that wants to own a cow.
Comrade Imaebe Saviour, a human rights advocate, thank you very much for speaking with us on Niger Delta today. We hope that your desires, of course, will be met in Rivers State and across the Niger Delta region. Thank you for speaking with us.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.